such a deep peace in the middle of the chaos that seemed out of reality? Have you ever had that feeling that something or someone invisible was protecting you, even without understanding why? Many people ignore, but these subtle signs can be the way angels, God's silent messengers, manifest themselves around us. We live running, stuck in notifications, slips and deadlines, and forget to perceive the invisible. But the truth is that even without visible trumpets or wings, there are times when the divine presence is noted. That sudden chill, the soft voice in the heart saying calm, everything will be fine, or the stranger that appears at the right time with exactly the help you needed. Is it really coincidence? You don't have to be a seer, medium, or religious fervent to feel that something bigger is acting. You just need to open your heart and learn to recognize the signs. And that's exactly what this content will show you. Get ready to see the invisible and find out how angels' action can transform your life in a real and palpable way. You are about to realize that you were never as alone as you thought. And if this type of message speaks to your soul, enjoy and subscribe to the channel. There is much more content like this. There are days when the world collapses around us, and yet, deep down, comes a calm that you can't explain. It's like someone put your hand on our chest and say, "I'm here." This peace that exceeds understanding does not come from logic, but from heaven. Angels, sent as a consolation, bring this serenity when the mind has already surrendered to despair. And strange as it may seem, that's where the divine presence is more real. This tranquility is neither apathy nor denial of pain, it is silent force in the middle of the hurricane. When everything should be knocking you down, but you can take a deep breath and follow, maybe it's not just resilience. Perhaps it is divine intervention, a subtle touch coming from above, aligning your spirit with something greater. And you don't have to make sense to be true. That's where the miracle lives. Many people feel this after a sincere prayer, a deep praise, or even in the silence of a dark room. There is no visible sign, but the heart knows, there's something different here. It is when spiritual whispers take shape in sensations and not in words. A soft certainty, almost like a breeze, saying, "You are protected." And it is in this space that faith flourishes. If you already woke up in the middle of the night with a tightness in your chest, and minutes later you felt a strange calm taking over, I was probably not alone. This kind of experience is reported by people who say they were involved in supernatural peace after times of crisis. Sometimes this feeling is a response of prayers that you didn't even verbalize. Angels hear what the soul screams in silence. A simple way to open for this peace is to create small connection rituals. It may be starting the day with a brief reading of a psalm, listening to music that speaks of the divine, or just take a deep breath and ask, "Shows me that I'm not alone." It sounds little, but the sky understands even the size. And the more you allow yourself, the more you perceive the signs of this supernatural protection. By the way, have you noticed how some people emanate calm? Being close to them soothes us too. It may be that these people are more in tune with His presence, more open to the performance of angels. The good news: this is not anyone's exclusive gift. It is practice, delivery, and sensitivity. Start paying attention many times. The peace you feel close to someone is a reflection of a larger light that dwells in it. And when this peace comes, the natural one is accompanied by deep gratitude. Not the one we say for education, but the one who squeezes the chest and fills the eyes with tears for no apparent reason. It is the heart recognizing the touch of the sacred. At these times, breathe and receives. Because when heaven wants to speak, He speaks even if it is only with silence and peace. Do you know that moment when you feel like helping someone who doesn't even know, without expecting anything in return? Or when an inexplicable empathy invades you in the face of the suffering of others? This can be more than a beautiful gesture, it can be a clear sign of spiritual whispers, boosting you to act with your heart. The angels in this case touch our soul to align our attitude to the love of God. And when that happens, the world changes first inside, then around. This inexplicable compassion arises out of nowhere, like a soft wave that takes over. Sometimes it is with a homeless that you have never seen, sometimes with someone who hurt you. And even without logical reason, something inside you says, "Loves anyway." At these times, you become a channel of divine presence, leading comfort, hug, direction. The voice of heaven uses human hands. Have you ever had that day when you got you calling someone out of nowhere, just because you felt you should? And then did you find that the person was bad and needed exactly that connection? This is no chance, it is divine intervention using you as an instrument. And do you know what is most beautiful? You don't even have to understand why. Just obey the boost of the good. The rest, the sky takes care. Actions like this are like echoes of heaven on earth. When you offer your time, money, patience, or forgiveness without waiting for recognition, you are responding to an invisible call. It's the kind of thing that warms inside, even on cold days. And if you pay attention, you will realize that soon after this delivery, a peace that exceeds understanding takes over your heart. Sign that something right was done. Want to cultivate more moments like this? Start with small listening practices. Ask when I wake up, "Who can I help today?" Keep your heart open and watch the signs. Sometimes it's a direct request. Sometimes it's just that nuisance that makes you get up from your chair and go. And it does not underestimate the power of a look, a compliment, a word said at the right time. Angels often act like this, discreet but accurate. Interestingly, this wave of love tends to attract more of it. When you act kindly, it seems that the surrounding environment changes. People get more receptive, the day looks lighter, until the weather seems to collaborate. These environmental changes, albeit subtle, may reflect the movement of the sky in response to what you have issued. It is like planting light and gathering light. And finally, know that when compassion finds you, don't run away. The deep gratitude that comes later is one of the most beautiful ways to experience divine presence. It is as if the universe whisper, "Thank you for being an answer." You don't have to change the whole world, just someone's world, and, perhaps, find out that this one was yourself. Who has never lived a almost that could have ended very badly? A second of difference, an unexpected exchange, a miraculous breaking. These situations are more than luck, they can be manifestations of supernatural protection that involves us daily. Angels, as tireless guardians, are always ready to act when we don't even know the danger that is close. And believe me, this happens more than we imagine. There are reports of people who heard a soft voice saying don't go or wait a while and, when obeying, avoided tragedies. These spiritual whispers come as urgent intuitions, difficult to explain rationally but impossible to ignore. When you feel this sudden orientation, trust and act, it is as if the whole sky is conspiring to your advantage. And in fact, it is. There was a story that marked me. A man was late for work because he lost the bus. Annoyed, walked out. On the way, he heard a crash. The bus he would catch had a serious accident. This type of divine intervention does not come with warning in a bright sign, but carries a silent signature of love and care. When God wants to protect, He uses the late clock. And it's not just in big accidents that this protection acts. Sometimes you feel that you should not enter a certain place, or that you need to get out of a conversation. These internal alerts are like radars of the Spirit, and angels are the attentive operators, guiding you by safe routes. It may seem exaggeration, but those who learn to listen avoid much suffering. And this is wisdom disguised as intuition. If you want to increase your perception of this protection, start cultivating full attention. Breathe, observe, listen to your intuition before acting on impulse. Write down situations where something prevented you from doing something and then made sense. This helps to recognize standards. And of course, pray for discernment. A simple prayer of such a get rid of what I don't even see can make room for environmental changes that move you away from evil. Another classic sign is when a stranger appears at the right time, whether to alert you, help you, or simply distract you from a dangerous place. Many call coincidence, but who has lived knows there is something beyond. The divine presence manifests itself even in the details, and the angels are experts in this. That invisible push that makes you get out of the street seconds before a car passes? Have you ever thought that it may not have been just a reflection? And when the danger passes and you feel inexplicable relief, almost followed by a desire to thank. Welcome that. It is the deep gratitude that is born when the heart recognizes that it was spared, even without knowing exactly what. At these times, close your eyes, take a deep breath and say, "Thank you." Because even without seeing, someone up there was seeing everything. There are times when silence speaks loudly. You're alone, or you think you're, and suddenly feel something fill the environment. A peace that comes without explanation, a soft warmth surrounding, as if someone invisible is around. This is the divine presence, making itself feel in a way that logic does not reach. And often it is the angels who carry this perfume of heaven to us. No need to have light shining, nor heavenly music playing. Sometimes it's just that light shiver, that subtle touch on the shoulder no one has seen. Or even a feeling of warmth in the midst of loneliness. When this happens, you can be sure you are being visited. Angels do not have to appear to make their presence real, they know how to speak straight to the heart. Interestingly, this feeling comes in the most unlikely moments: washing dishes, lying on the couch, walking on the street. It's as if the world slows down for a moment just to remind you that you are not alone. These sacred moments can be a response of a prayer or a spontaneous sign of divine care. The sky loves to surprise with unexpected kindness. And the more sensitive you are, the easier it will be to recognize these subtle touches. A practical tip: create small moments of silence during the day. It can be 5 minutes with eyes closed, just breathing. This makes room to hear the spiritual whispers, those calm reminders that say, "Hey, I'm here." Believe me, God even speaks in the break of your coffee. Peace that exceeds understanding often accompanies these divine visits. You may be full of trouble, but inside, something quiet. This does not mean that everything is resolved, just that you are being sustained. It is as if the angels are saying, "Trust, it will pass." And even if nothing changes on the outside, everything starts to align. Have you heard stories of people who said they felt an invisible hug in times of deep pain? It is not daydream. It can be the direct action of angels bringing supernatural comfort. And if you've lived, you know it's more real than a lot of hand tight. This supernatural protection is the kind of care that is not seen, but feels and transforms. And after a moment like that, what usually comes? A deep gratitude that springs without concrete reason, but invades hard. You look around, breathe, and think, "Thanks for being here." Even without understanding exactly what or who, you know something bigger visited you. And that, my friend, changes everything. Because those who feel the divine presence never feel truly alone. Have you seen a different light during a prayer? Or did you notice a shine in the environment that didn't come from any lamp? Many people report apparitions of supernatural lights or even radiant human figures in times of deep spiritual search. These visual signs, as brief as they may be, may indicate the presence of angels, heavenly messengers on care mission. And when this happens, reality changes for a moment. Heaven touches the earth. It doesn't have to be a cinematic view. Sometimes it's just a perceived corner silhouette with an eye, a soft light that enters the room when all windows are closed. Other times it is a glow around someone while praying or sings. It may seem strange, but these visual details are forms that the spirit world finds us to tell us, we are here. They are subtle manifestations of divine presence. There was a lady who said she saw a white figure on her foot when she cried for the loss of her husband. She said she felt peace that exceeds her understanding and slept smiling. Even without understanding what it was, I knew it had been visited by something good, and that was with her for the rest of her life. These meetings, even visual, carry a deep touch of comfort and direction. That is to say, it is not always about seeing with the eyes, sometimes it is about realizing with the soul. But if you've had a vision, however little you were, and you felt calm instead of fear, you can be sure it was nothing. Angels do not cause terror, but reverence, presence, and welcome. And many of these appearances happen just when we are fragile, as a reminder that we were not forgotten. Want to create a more conducive environment to realize these manifestations? Delete the distractions. Create a sacred corner at home, a candle, a soft song, a sincere prayer. This does not attract angels as if they were magical, but it helps you realize what may be already there. Environmental change is more internal than external, but physical space can accompany this spiritual opening. Some people also have dreams with angels who mix with visions. They wake up saying, "It seems that I saw someone of light touching me," and the impression doesn't come out. In such cases, the meeting may have started in the dream world and extended to the awakening. It is as if the sky decided not to wait for you to wake up to deliver the message. It is direction, comfort, and miracle all at once. And if after such an experience you feel hot in your chest, you want to cry without sadness and an almost urgent need to thank, embrace it. It is the deep gratitude of those who played the invisible and survived the sacred. At these times, do not try to rationalize. Just say, "I received it," because there is something that is to feel, not to explain. And angels know exactly how to make it happen. Some dreams are different. You wake up remembering every detail, with a strange peace in your chest and the feeling that it wasn't just imagination. Dreams with angels are like this, vivid, comforting, and often full of meaning. It can be a message, a hug, a simple look. But the effect is always the same. You wake up feeling that it was touched by something divine. Many people report to have found beings of light during sleep, figures that did not speak, but communicated everything with one look. These meetings are not only beautiful, they are real divine interventions, made while the body rests and the spirit opens. When we are sleeping, the ego lowers the guard and the soul listens better. It is the perfect time for angels to whisper direction, comfort, or healing. These dreams may arise in times of crisis or doubt, in response to a silent prayer. A young man said that in a dream, an angel held him firmly by the hand as he walked through a dark tunnel. The next day, he made the decision to leave an abusive relationship. Coincidence? Perhaps. But those who have lived knows it is the divine presence revealing the way through the invisible. Want to facilitate this kind of experience? Start praying before bed. Nothing complicated. Just say, "If you will, talk to me tonight." Leave a Bible or something sacred beside the bed. Create an environment of peace. And especially be open. When the Spirit is available, angels find a passage more easily. Supernatural protection does not take a vacation even at night. It is common that, after such a dream, we wake up with deep gratitude, even without remembering everything. Sometimes it's just a good feeling that remains all day. Other times it is a clear message, a sentence, a name, a direction. Write down. Write everything as soon as you wake up. Many spiritual whispers reveal themselves better when we take our minds and put it on paper. And don't worry if you don't have cinematic views with harps and heavenly lights. Sometimes the angel appears in the form of a child smiling, an old sage, or even someone who has left. The important thing is not the format, it is the impact. And if the dream made you lighter, firmer, more at peace, then something from heaven passed by, even if disguised. Dreaming of angels is like receiving a letter with divine seal. Sometimes we understand everything right away. Sometimes the message slowly reveals themselves. What matters is that when you sleep, you were remembered, you're not alone. And that's all, already changes the way of living the next day. Have you ever had that feeling that a soft voice spoke inside your mind? Something discreet, but so accurate that you almost turned to see who was there? These spiritual whispers are one of the most delicate ways in which angels guide us. They do not come with shouts or pressure, but with wisdom and firmness. It is as if heaven was whispering solutions in the ear of the soul. These guidelines do not appear only in times of prayer, see? They often appear in the middle of a tense meeting, a difficult conversation, or while you wash the dishes. Suddenly an idea you hadn't thought, a sudden calm, a phrase that seems to have come from elsewhere. This can be divine intervention, acting with millimeter accuracy when you need it most. It is important to differentiate this voice from the anxious mind. The whisper of heaven does not cause panic, he brings peace that exceeds understanding, even when he challenges what we wanted to hear. If the orientation you felt gives you courage, serenity, and meaning, it may be an angel guiding you. Trust. Write down. Follow. The practice of listening to this direction is like tuning an instrument. The more you train, the lighter the sound is. An example, a woman said she was going to close a deal, but she felt a strange nuisance and listened clearly. Wait. She postponed. Days later, he discovered it was a blow. These experiences show that angels are not just a comfort, they also guide, warn, direct. And sometimes, the answer you are asking has already been given, you are only whispered in the middle of your noise. Want to hear better? Silence more. Reduce mental noise. Turn off the autopilot. Moments of silence, inspiring reading, hiking without headset, all of this helps. And ask with humility, show me what I need to know. Divine presence responds, but you need to be willing to listen without haste and no filter. Sometimes the answer is such a simple thought that we almost ignore. And look how beautiful when you follow these whispers, the universe collaborates. Doors open, people appear, the way aligns. This is the famous environmental change, where everything around seems to conspire in favor. And it's not magic, it's alignment. It is the result of trusting the voice of the invisible, even without understanding everything right away. Obedience to heaven generates fruits that no logic explains. After following one of these guidelines, many people report deep gratitude, as if an invisible hand had taken a weight, avoided a mistake, or shown something precious. This feeling is more than emotion, it is a sign that you connected with the sacred. When you hear that soft voice again, remember it's not just your intuition. It can be God guiding you through angels. Have you ever entered a place and felt the air changed? As if a different energy took account, bringing peace or instant alert. These environmental changes are often a reflection of the spiritual movement around us. Angels, upon entering action, can change not only our interior, but also the physical environment. And who is sensitive, feels even without seeing anything with the eyes. Sometimes it is a breeze that enters the closed window. Others, a sudden silence in the middle of a noisy day. It may seem small, but they are signs that something spiritual is manifesting itself. It is the divine presence imposing itself in space, creating a sacred territory even in the middle of chaos. Anyone who has experienced this knows the air gets lighter, and the heart, inexplicably calm. He had a curious story from a woman who said that every time she prayed deeply, her room was smelling of flowers and there were no flowers there. These are subtle, but constant manifestations among those who are open to the divine. This can also happen with gentle sounds, lights, or even with the ambient temperature changing. The angels do not come up, but leave their mark. And it's not just good sensations. Sometimes spiritual whispers are accompanied by environmental discomfort that tells you, "Get out of here." This perception is protection too. Spirituality speaks to the body, the skin, with the mood around. When the place weighs, or the atmosphere changes suddenly, listen. It can be supernatural protection by moving you away from something that is not for you. A practical way to observe this is to pay attention to how you feel in certain spaces or close to certain people. Ask yourself, does my spirit expand here or contract? If something changes suddenly, investigate. You don't have to be paranoid, but keep the radar of the soul on. Divine intervention can manifest in detail that the eyes ignore. These changes can also happen with the arrival of certain people. Someone enters the environment and suddenly everything is lighter. It can be a messenger sent to that moment, not always with wings, but with words and attitudes just right. When this happens, receive with deep gratitude. It is the sky visiting you through human gestures. And finally, if you notice these changes more often, don't think you are traveling. Think you are awakening. Angels are always around, waiting for a close heart to speak up. And when the peace that exceeds understanding fills the air, even without explanation. Welcome. Maybe the whole sky has just passed through your room. And now that you know these signs, how many of them have happened to you without realizing it? How many times the answer was there, whispering, and you let it think it was your head? Perhaps now is the time to look at your life with other eyes that see the invisible. Angels do not appear only in the extraordinary moments. They are in the details, gestures, pauses, and words that reach you at the right time. And when you learn to recognize the divine presence, everything changes, even what doesn't change. So how about starting to pay more attention? How about cultivating moments of silence, writing down dreams, following that light intuition? Spirituality is not distant. She breathes with you. Peace that exceeds understanding, supernatural protection, revealing dreams, discreet whispers all can be part of your walk if you allow. You don't have to wait for a grand miracle. Sometimes the miracle is to realize that it is already being guided. Now tell me, which of these signs have you experienced? Which one do you want to start to recognize the most? The first step is simply to be open. When you become available, the sky responds. And when angels realize they are welcome, they come with everything. If this content has touched you, don't keep it just for you. Subscribe to the channel and enable notifications. It has much more light, direction, and inspiration waiting for you.